Every month, she told herself the same lie. I didn't spend that much. It was just small stuff. Next month will be different. And yet, the result never changed. Her bank account always reached zero faster than it should. Not because of one big mistake, not because of a low salary, but because of a silent error she repeated every single month without noticing. It didn't feel dangerous. It didn't feel irresponsible. It felt normal. That's why it worked so well. While she focused on big bills and serious expenses, something else quietly drained her money in the background. Small amounts, automatic decisions, daily habits she never questioned. She wasn't bad with money. She was bleeding it slowly. Before we continue, hit like and subscribe. It helps YouTube recommend this story to people who need it. Now, stay with the full story. Her name was Laura Mitchell. She was 35, lived in a modest apartment in Phoenix, Arizona, and worked as an administrative manager for a construction company. Laura earned $62,000 a year, had steady hours, and rarely worried about job security. Her coworkers described her as responsible, organized, reliable. From the outside, her life looked stable. Laura woke up at the same time every weekday, brewed coffee at home, and drove 30 minutes to work. She packed lunches more often than not. She didn't own luxury items. She didn't gamble. She didn't shop impulsively in obvious ways. In fact, she believed she was careful with money. Once a month, usually on a Sunday afternoon, Laura opened her laptop and reviewed her finances. She paid bills on time: rent, car payment, utilities, insurance. She checked off each one with a quiet sense of pride. She avoided overdrafts. She never missed a due date. And still, every month ended the same way. Her checking account hovered dangerously low. Her savings account barely moved. Any unexpected expense felt like a threat instead of a minor inconvenience. Laura couldn't understand why. She told herself the same things again and again. Inflation is out of control. Life is just expensive now. Once I earn more, this will stop. But deep down, something felt wrong. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't careless. She didn't live above her means, at least not in a way she could see. Yet the money never stayed. Laura avoided talking about finances with friends. When conversations drifted towards savings or investments, she stayed quiet. Not because she was ashamed, but because she didn't have answers. She didn't know where her money was going. Her routine never changed: work, groceries, home. Weekends were simple: occasionally dinner out, occasionally online shopping late at night after long days. Nothing dramatic, nothing alarming. That's what made it so confusing. Laura believed financial problems came from big mistakes: bad loans, overspending, reckless behavior. She didn't see herself in any of that. She felt disciplined, controlled, mature. What she didn't realize was that her problem wasn't loud. It didn't show up as one disastrous decision. It didn't announce itself with a crisis. It showed up quietly, spread across dozens of tiny moments she never paid attention to. Automatic charges, small conveniences, emotional spending she justified because it felt deserved. She tracked money monthly, but lived daily, and that gap mattered more than she knew. Every month, Laura focused on the obvious numbers, while something else slipped through unnoticed. Something small enough to ignore, something common enough to feel harmless. She didn't know yet that this invisible pattern, repeated over and over, was shaping her entire financial reality. And she was one unexpected moment away from finally seeing it.
Laura's silent error wasn't a single bad purchase. It was a pattern. Tiny, unconscious spending that happened before she could think, and then she pretended it didn't matter because each piece was small. It started the moment she woke up. She'd open her phone and see a free trial reminder she meant to cancel later. Later never came. The charge hit: $9.99, $14.99, $6.49. A streaming service she barely used. an app that promised mindfulness, a premium feature she forgot existed. She'd notice the email receipt and tell herself it's not that much. On the drive to work, she'd stop for just one thing: a drink, a snack, a quick breakfast because she woke up tired and wanted comfort. She didn't call it spending, she called it surviving the morning. At lunch, she'd order delivery once or twice a week when the office felt chaotic. The food wasn't the expensive part, the fees were. Service fee, delivery fee, tip. Every time, the total jumped higher than she expected, and every time she still hit place order. After work, she'd scroll online for 5 minutes and buy something small that made her feel like she had control. A kitchen tool, a skincare item, a cheap organizer, a deal she didn't need. It didn't feel like shopping, it felt like fixing her life. The money left quietly, not in one loud scream, but in 100 soft whispers. The breaking point came on a Thursday. Laura was at the grocery store, holding a basket with basics: eggs, chicken, rice, vegetables, no fancy extras. At the register, she tapped her card the way she always did, half looking at the screen. Declined. She blinked and tried again, feeling heat rise in her face. Declined. The cashier looked at her with polite patience. The person behind her shifted, annoyed. Laura's throat tightened. She pulled out her phone with shaky hands and opened her bank app, hoping it was a glitch. It wasn't. Her available balance was lower than she could process. She had gotten paid less than 2 weeks ago. Her rent wasn't due yet. Her big bills were already accounted for. So why was she standing there, unable to buy groceries? She pushed her card aside, mumbled an apology, and walked out with nothing. In her car, she stared at the steering wheel like it had answers. Then she scrolled through her transactions. At first, it looked harmless. A coffee, a small online order, a subscription, a small treat, another subscription, another convenience. Then she did something she almost never did. She added them up. She opened her Notes app and started grouping the small stuff into one pile. Every non-essential charge, every automatic payment, every quick swipe she didn't remember deciding on. The total climbed fast. It wasn't $50. It wasn't $100. It was hundreds scattered across the month like dust you don't notice until you wipe the table and realize how dirty it was. Laura felt sick, not because she was irresponsible, but because she genuinely hadn't seen it. She wasn't budgeting wrong. She was leaking money without awareness, then budgeting what was left as if it meant something. That night, she sat at her kitchen table with her laptop open and her bank statement on the screen, and she whispered the sentence that scared her most. "I don't know where my money goes." And for the first time, she didn't say it like a complaint. She said it like a confession.
Laura didn't fix her finances by becoming stricter. She fixed them by becoming awake. The next morning, still embarrassed by the grocery store moment, she called her older cousin, Nina, the one person in her family who always seemed calm about money. Nina didn't make a lot, but she never panicked. She never mysteriously ran out. Laura expected a lecture. Instead, Nina asked one simple question. "Do you know what your money is doing every day, or only once a month?" Laura didn't answer right away. Nina continued, gentle but direct. "Most people don't go broke from one big expense. They bleed out from tiny leaks they never track. You need a rule that catches leaks fast." Then Nina gave her the rule that would change everything. Track today's spending today. Not next week, not on Sunday, not when she felt motivated. Today, because tomorrow already belongs to new decisions. Laura felt resistance rise immediately. Daily tracking sounded obsessive, exhausting, like living under a microscope. But Nina explained it in a way that made it feel human. You're not tracking to punish yourself. You're tracking so your money can't disappear in the dark. That night, Laura built a simple system, small enough to actually maintain. Step 1, the leak list. She opened her bank statement and wrote down every recurring charge, every subscription, every membership, every auto pay. She circled the ones she didn't truly value. Then she canceled 3 immediately. Not later, immediately. Step 2, 3 buckets. She created 3 categories on paper: needs, rent, bills, groceries, gas; safety, emergency fund plus minimum debt payments; freedom, everything else: fun, food out, shopping, convenience. She wasn't trying to be perfect, she was trying to make spending visible. Step 3. Pay yourself first. The next payday, she set an automatic transfer, only $100, into a separate savings account labeled Safety. The amount felt almost laughably small. But it was the first time she saved before spending, not after hoping. Step 4. The daily closeout. Every night at 9:30 p.m., Laura opened her phone and wrote down what she spent that day. 2 minutes, that was the limit. If it took longer, she simplified. She also added one line underneath: was this planned or emotional? The first few days were uncomfortable. She saw the truth in bright light. A $6 drink wasn't just a drink, it was a habit, a stress response, a reward, a reflex. And once she could see it, she had power. By the end of the week, Laura noticed something shocking. She wasn't spending less because she felt guilty. She was spending less because she finally felt the spending happening. The leaks didn't stop because she became a different person overnight. They stopped because they couldn't hide anymore. And for the first time, Laura understood a painful, liberating reality. Budgeting monthly wasn't enough. If money leaks daily, awareness must happen daily too.
The first change Laura noticed wasn't in her bank balance. It was in her body. Her shoulders felt lighter. Her chest didn't tighten every time she opened her banking app. The fear that used to whisper, "Don't look," slowly lost its power. The daily closeout became automatic. 2 minutes each night. No drama, no shame, just facts. Some days surprised her. She thought she had been good, only to realize how much convenience had cost her. Other days shocked her in the opposite way. She spent less than she expected and felt proud in a quiet, grounded way. By the end of the first month, the leaks had slowed. Not because Laura stopped enjoying life, but because she stopped paying for things she didn't actually choose. Subscriptions were gone. Impulse purchases dropped naturally once she knew she would have to write them down that night. Awareness did the work discipline never could. Her emergency fund crossed $500 for the first time in her adult life. It wasn't impressive to anyone else. To Laura, it felt like oxygen, a buffer between her and panic. Then life tested her. Her car needed repairs, not catastrophic, but enough to hurt. In the past, this would have gone straight on her credit card, followed by weeks of stress and self-blame. This time, she paused. She opened her safety account. The money was there. She paid for the repair without interest, without shame, without that familiar sinking feeling. She sat in the mechanic's waiting room and felt something close to disbelief. This is what the emergency fund is for, she thought. That moment rewired her relationship with saving. Saving wasn't about deprivation, it was about protection. Over the next 2 months, Laura made small but powerful moves. She renegotiated her phone plan. She lowered her internet bill. She stopped upgrading her lifestyle just because her income allowed it. She also tackled debt differently. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the total, she focused on stopping the interest bleed. Highest interest first, small extra payments when possible. No heroics, just consistency. Her credit card balance started to fall. But the real transformation was emotional. Laura stopped feeling stupid. She stopped saying, "I'm just bad with money." She realized she had never been bad, just unaware. No one had taught her to look closely at the small things. She began saying no to plans without guilt, not because she couldn't afford them, but because she had already decided what mattered that month. And when she said yes, she enjoyed it more. There was no hangover of regret, no silent math running in the background. Her income didn't change, her job didn't change,
Her life didn't look dramatic from the outside, but inside, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: stability. Not because she had more money, but because her money finally stayed where she could see it. The leaks were gone, and with them, the constant fear that something small would break everything. One evening, months later, Laura sat at her small dining table with a cup of tea cooling beside her. The table was clean now. No scattered bills, no tense spreadsheets, just her notebook, open to a page filled with neat, honest numbers. She thought about how different this moment felt from the night she walked out of the grocery store empty-handed. Back then, money felt like something that happened to her, something unpredictable, something slightly cruel. Now, it felt quiet. Laura scrolled through her bank app without flinching. Her checking account wasn't overflowing, but it wasn't fragile either. Her emergency fund had crossed a number she once thought was impossible. Her credit card balance was moving steadily down instead of hovering in place. Nothing magical had happened. She hadn't won more money. She hadn't found a secret investment. She hadn't become someone else. She had simply stopped letting money disappear unnoticed. Laura realized that the most dangerous financial mistakes aren't dramatic. They don't look like chaos. They look like normal life. A subscription here, a convenience there, a reward after a long day. All reasonable, all invisible when viewed alone. That was the trap. She remembered how she used to say, "I don't even spend that much," and how true that felt, because she never saw the whole picture at once. The leaks were scattered, quiet, patient. Now they had nowhere to hide. The daily closeout hadn't made her rigid, it had made her calm. By facing her spending in real time, she removed fear from the process. Numbers stopped being accusations and became information. Laura thought about how many people were exactly where she used to be, working hard, paying bills, doing their best, and still wondering why nothing ever stuck. The answer wasn't more effort, it was awareness. She wrote one sentence at the top of a fresh notebook page, pressing the pen firmly as if to make it permanent. Money problems grow in the dark. That was the moral she wished someone had told her earlier. If you don't look daily, small leaks become monthly disasters. If you only budget what's left, you'll always feel behind. If you wait for a big mistake to fix things, you'll miss the quiet ones draining you slowly. Laura closed her notebook and leaned back in her chair. The room felt still, safe. She knew life would bring surprises, expenses would come, emotions would flare. She wasn't immune to temptation now, but she had something stronger than discipline. She had visibility, and visibility changed everything, because the moment you truly see where your money goes, you get to decide where it should stay.